Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today is a cold day in hell for loot boxes. They have officially been banned in Belgium. They've been considered a form of gambling, and I've got some interesting thoughts about the situation. I've been waiting for this stuff to kind of sort of blow or sort of get an finite end, I guess you could say, and we're still not at the end. I bet you there's going to be a lot of legal backlash against this. People are going to fight, publishers are going to fight to keep them loot boxes in, I can assure you. Because loot boxes make a lot of fucking money. But for those of you who haven't been following the loot box news, drama, escapades, storylines, ladies and gentlemen, Belgium has considered loot boxes to be a form of gambling. They've considered things such as emotional manipulation, basic gambling principles. They've even mentioned games off the top of their head as well that have been considered part of the loot box epidemic, so to speak. Basically, the games that they've listed are Battlefront 2, Overwatch, FIFA, the FIFA Series 18 or whatever, ever since they introduced the the Ultimate Team microtransactions into that franchise, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So it kind of feels like they're a little bit behind the pack and sort of following along with it. I mean, I guess they got basically all the games. I'm not so sure about Battlefront 2. I know that's reintroducing microtransactions, but I'm sure it's confirmed to be. If it totally cosmetic. Anyways, they've mentioned loot boxes are pretty dastardly, and in Belgium it's illegal. And it's illegal to the point that if you do put loot boxes in your game, it's 5 years of prison or 800,000 euros. So I don't know about you, but I think I can not put loot boxes in my game if I survive 5 years of European ass ramming in prison. I think that's a fair trade-off, very fair, okay? Maybe I'm just too scared to pull it off. But to me, it kind of sets a little bit of a dangerous precedence. And I know I'm kind of sounding a little weird because I did initially ask that some government look into this and have some form of intervention, which they should. The thing is, the gaming industry gets away with a lot of fucking weird shit. Loot boxes is just one of the egregious examples they can get away with. But before I continue, let me list some of the positive reasons that I've always been stating about loot boxes. Yes, there are some positives. For those of you who don't know, if you play a lot of multiplayer games, they're almost always filled with loot boxes. But I think one of the trends that most people have noticed now is that a lot of popular multiplayer games are offering their downloadable content for free. Downloadable content such as maps or whatever. My frame of reference is Rainbow Six Siege, a game that I actively and really invest my time into. I love that game. For me, I like that game because it never splits the online community at all. You get a healthy slew of new operator classes, new maps, and generally reworked gameplay, all for free to every user. You don't ever have to pay a single penny out of your own pocket to get all the extra content. Yes, there is some form of grinding towards the game that is to be expected. You can't just have it all for free very easily. You have to put some time into it, whether that be 10 hours to unlock an operator for free or pay like $5 to get it earlier. I choose the payment method. I like getting them day one. It's a difference of opinion. Plus, it's the only online game I play. Now, with the added fact that you have some form of a microtransactionable currency in the store, whether it not explicitly be loot boxes, but rather cosmetic skins, you end up coming across a situation where the DLC is free for everyone in a perfect world. And most games do it. Grand Theft Auto Online provides DLC free for everyone. Now, the argument that is some of it a terrible grind, yeah, that is game dependent, but there is a positive to the situation. And it's positive because the online community never splits. One of the biggest problems, again, is the fact that the population is so split up when games release a bunch of DLC packs. Some people get a DLC pack, some people don't, some people mix and match their DLC packs. It ends up totally splitting the community up from everyone else and screws up matchmaking for everybody. But with games like Call of Duty and Battlefield that dip into both of them, such as, they release their crates and their map packs, I say fuck that kind of stuff. I don't bother putting my time into that anymore or in any way, shape, or form. The games have become so casualized and you have so much of a simple, like, you have so many of these money-making avenues that the whole game sort of suffers in the process and your community splits up more so and so forth. Plus, there's better experiences. Now, there's a positive side, in my opinion, of loot boxes. Yes, there are some, and those are it. But the negative sides of it is that some games really go overboard, and we've looked at it. We've looked at games like Battlefront 2 that had a fucking progression system dedicated around total RNG and paying for that total RNG, and in the end, not getting your money's worth out of it in most cases. A lot of games pull that stuff off. And that is where those games die very fucking quickly. They die before they could even have a heartbeat. But then you have your games like Overwatch and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which are again just totally cosmetic. You don't need gun skins, you don't need character skins to win, but they're available. And they're the only forms of, I guess, progression available aside from, a standard level cap. And to those games, I don't mind loot boxes either. If you want to pay $100 to get Overwatch or Counter-Strike skins, be my fucking guest. I don't really fucking care. It's a gun skin. It's like Siege. It don't fucking change the way you play the game either. It might even hinder you in some cases, but that's all your choice. Progression-based stuff, I'm totally against. I think that's kind of what FIFA does, but I haven't played a FIFA game in ages, so I wouldn't know. But anyways, loot boxes are now deemed pretty fucking illegal, and for rightful reasons. They do prey upon people who don't have they prey upon people's emotions. They definitely have an issue with people who have some form of gambling addiction in any way, shape, or form. But for it to be considered gambling, I think is a little bit of a vague term, and that's sort of my problem with this legal intervention. The terms are really fucking vague if you look at them. The games they classify use microtransactions in so many different ways that some you could consider harmless and some you can consider totally egregious. For me, one of the biggest problems over here is the vague terms that they've applied could literally apply to anything with some form of loot box type mechanic. Even a game that uses loot boxes in a very harmless way, such as, PUBG, Counter-Strike, or Overwatch with just cosmetic items, is faced to issues that they really shouldn't have. You lose the benefit of having that DLC subsidized by a few whales in the community, going back to, again, splitting the online population once more. At this point, you would even think that a trading card game like Hearthstone might suffer a banning too, because doesn't that just use microtransactions anyways? And even then, game-changing microtransactions, you might be able to earn stuff, but the fact that those are in place already might serve as a little issue to anybody in that region of play. Or in any way, shape, or form, it might serve that publisher some form of a fucking 5-year anal fucking, if you will. The thing with these loot box regulations is that they're incredibly fucking vague as a sword. And for the most part, I do agree that these things need to be regulated, but some of these motherfuckers are really out of touch of the whole gaming principle, and this could theoretically end up sort of slamming us down into a different pathway that we probably don't want to head to. Do I think loot boxes need to be checked? Yes, but I think these terms need to apply to a more specific type of loot box. The ones that put progression into the mix, the ones that prey on gambling but provide no profit to the player in any way, shape, or form. That's what I think these regulations should be looking at. Again, the games that Belgium has been listing are so far and few apart in terms of how they use the microtransactions anyways, that I don't even think you could group them all into one category. But again, this is just my thoughts on the whole situation. These terms are really vague, and they could end up shutting out maybe even an entire genre of video games that people hold near and dear to themselves. I do think these things need a regulation, but at the same time, I think some of these terms are, again, very fucking vague. So again, read them over, let me know what you think. Share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm not going to keep you here too long. I'm going to go back and finish some Metal Gear Solid 3. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like you dislike it, I am out.